Today we're going to talk about choosing a location for your business. What you hear in any book or any seminar, any YouTube video is location, location, location. So choosing location, we got a whole bunch of things up here. Primarily we talking barbershops and salons, but this business or choosing location, you can take these principles and apply it across any industry. So whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a massage parlor, nail shop, any type of business, you can take these principles and use it. So, but for this particular instance, we're gonna talk barbershops. So barbershop and salon, you gotta decide what type of shopping center you're gonna be in. So you have your neighborhood center, which is usually anchored by a grocery store. Like a Piggly Wiggly, Buy Low. In my case, Barbers Inc. 2 is in a Piggly Wiggly shopping center. So with that, your client typically comes to the shopping center several times a week. They come 3-5 times a week to that shopping center. So they may get groceries on Monday. They may come buy Chinese food on Tuesday. They may come to the Dollar General on Wednesday. So the likelihood of them coming several times a week is greater, and they'll see you. The likelihood of them seeing your business is greater. So keep that in mind. So that's neighborhood center. So typically they're in the center of a neighborhood or on the edge of the neighborhood and have several neighborhoods surrounding them. So the advantage is the person gets to see you more often. Your Howard Center is something like a Best Buy, a Target. Those are typically away from neighborhoods, so people have to drive several minutes over there to them. Now, the advantage is usually in an area with a whole lot of other businesses. So that's your advantage. So you have your Chick-fil-A usually in that shopping center, your Big Lots, your big box stores like Old Navy, your big box retailers are in those shopping centers. So if you want that kind of traffic, that's good. The only drawback is people typically only go to a Best Buy maybe once a month or every 2 weeks or sometimes less than that. But it has its own position. Regional mall. Now malls typically have 12 to 20 million visitors a year coming in. They have those traffic counters in the parking lot. So if you can just get a small percentage of that greatly increases the likelihood of you being successful. Now, I have had a barbershop in a power center, and I've had one in a neighborhood center, and now we have one in the mall. Now, with the neighborhood center, was busier. That's where the Piggly Wiggly was. It's very busy. The power center, the customers were a little more spaced out. They didn't come as often. So that's when I moved from the power center to the neighborhood center, in my personal experience. Now, the mall trumps all of those because of the traffic flow. You have 20 million people a year in that environment. So you have a greater likelihood, and it's gonna be so much volume. And then you have more hours because now you're operating by mall hours, 10 a.m. to 9 at night. Mom and pop plazas, let's not forget about those. Most new businesses start in mom and pop plazas because the rent is cheaper. So the rent is typically cheapest in a mom and pop plaza. Your next would be neighborhood center, would be the next step up. The next step from that would be power center, and then your mall would be the most expensive. Now, when it comes to demographics and choosing your location, you gotta think, who is your customer? So that really should be one of your first questions. Who is my customer? And how far are they in proximity to that shopping center? So if your customer is, let's say, women between age 13 and 50, you would want to be in certain areas. So you could go to the website of the property owner, pull up the demographics, and it'll say there are 180,000 people within 3 miles, 5 miles, and 10 miles of this building. And so you look at that demographics and it'll break it all the way down. Every age group, every gender, every race. And so you can look in that information to see, is my clientele represented if I put my business here? Now that's what the census says, but sometimes the census can be a little off because some people don't fill out census forms. So there may be a couple thousand extra people that are not accounted for on that document. Now, let's see, so you got your demographics. Now another thing is you have the demographics of who lives there, but you also got to think about the demographics of who works in that area. And when do the people that live in that area, when are they there? So for example, let's say there's an office plaza. So this is Charleston, favorite place in North Charleston. There's no homes over there, but there's thousands and thousands of people that work at Favorite Place Shopping Center. So any business that's trying to feed off a Favorite Place is only gonna make money from Monday to Friday, from 7 in the morning till about 5 o'clock, and then office buildings close. So their demographic may be specifically the people who work there. Now you, on the other hand, if you're trying to target another group, like let's say our Ladson barbershop, for example. People who live in Ladson work in North Charleston, or work in downtown, or work West Ashley. So the people who live in Ladson, they leave Ladson in the morning, they don't come back to Ladson until 4 o'clock p.m. So you may make all of your money between 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then you have to build those other hours in between. And so that's something I've learned being in Ladson versus being in North Charleston, where business in North Charleston jumps all day long. So that's something that you gotta consider. All right. What's the major hub, or what's the major hub of business in your city? In North Charleston, in our case, is the highest retailing city in the state. So being in North Charleston is a given. You would definitely want to be in North Charleston or as close to it in our case. So so that's something you can factor in. So yeah, the demographics may say this many people live there, but when are they actually in the area? So you can kind of determine what your hours of operation need to be. Now, as far as price is concerned, we got price down here, we got size. So price, size. The price, when you're looking at a commercial lease, typically a commercial lease is structured this way. It's structured, if it's 1,000 square foot building, they're charging $10 a foot for the building, and they're charging a $2 common area maintenance fee. So that brings your total up to $12. So you take that $12 and multiply it times the size of the building, that'll give you $12,000. Now you divide that by how many months there are a year, 12 months a year, brings it back down to $1,000. And that's pretty much how you figure out what the rent is. Because when you look at the paper, it's just gonna say $12 a square foot. They're not gonna actually explain to you how that works. And if you ask them how does this work, then they know they're dealing with someone that does not know what they're doing. So this is a little something for you. So once you figure that out, now you can negotiate from that number. So what you do is say, okay, how can I come in at $6 a foot? And then you just let them work it from there and see how it goes. Size, also, when it comes to a barbershop, my formula is if it's 1,000 square foot building, I typically can fit 2 more people in there. So let's just say 1,100 square foot building, I can fit 13 chairs in it. 1,400 square foot building, I can fit 16. That's my little rule of thumb for barbershops, because in the state of South Carolina, our barber chairs only gotta be 3 feet apart from base to base. And so I usually can make whatever that digit is. If it's 11, I can usually fit 13 chairs in it. And that's kind of my formula. So once you determine how big you want your staff to be, then you can kind of determine how much space you need based upon that criteria. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions, you can email me at robupscale@gmail.com, or hit me on Facebook at robupscale, or call me on my cell phone 843-568-2155. Thank you.